A can-do mentality. I can do everything with the help of Christ who gives me the strength I need. We draw to our lives that we are constantly thinking about. If we dwell on the negative, we will attract the negative people, experiences, and the attitudes. If we dwell on our fears, we will draw in more fear. You set the direction of your life with your thoughts. The choice is up to you. You don't have to entertain every thought that comes to your mind. The first thing you need to do is ascertain where that thought is coming from. Is that thought from God? Is it your own thought? Or is it destructive thought from the enemy? If a thought is negative, most likely it's from the enemy. If it's discouraging, destructive thought. If it brings fear, worry, or unbelief. If the thought makes you feel weak, inadequate, insecure, I can guarantee you that thought is not from God. You need to deal with it immediately. The Bible says we should cast down every wrong imagination and take it into captivity every wrong thought. That simply means don't dwell on it, get rid of it immediately, reject it, choose to think on something positive. If you make the mistake of dwelling on enemies' lies, you allow the negative seed to take root. And the more you think about it, the more it's going to grow, creating an enemy stronghold in your mind from which attacks can be launched. Night and day, the enemy will pummel your mind with notions such as you're never going to be successful, nobody in your family has amounted to too much, you are not smart enough, your parents were poor, your grandfather was already depressed, your grandmother couldn't keep a job, even your pet dog was always sick. You were just born in the wrong family. Now, if you believe those kind of lies, you will limit in your life that will be nearly impossible to rise above. You must get into the habit of casting down the thoughts of the enemy and start believing what God says about you. God is not limited by your family tree. He is not limited by your education, your social standing, your economic status, or your race. No, the only thing that limits God is your lack of faith. There is no such thing as the wrong side of the tracks with our God. If you will put your trust in Him, God will make your life significant. God longs to make something great out of your life. He will take nobody and shape that person into somebody. But you must cooperate with the God's plan. You must start thinking of yourself as a champion God made you to be. The enemy attacks your mind saying that you don't have what it takes. God says you do have what it takes. Whom you are going to believe. The enemy says you're not able to succeed. God says you can do all things through Christ. The enemy says you will never go out of debt. God says not only you're going to get out of debt, you will lend and not borrow. The enemy says you're never going to get well. God says He will restore your health. The enemy says you will never amount to anything. God says He will raise you up and make your life significant. The enemy says your problems are too big, there's no hope. God says He will solve those problems. Not only that, but He will turn those problems around and use them for good. Friend, develop a habit of believing what God says about you. Start agreeing with godly thoughts. God thoughts will fulfill you with faith, hope, and victory. God thoughts will build you up and encourage you. They will give you the strength you need to keep on keeping on. God thoughts will give you that can do mentality. How can you discover God's thought? Easy, just start reading and meditating on His Word. Allow its truths to become operating system for your life. Today's prayer for your best life now. Father, I choose to think in patterns that will be pleasing to you. Help me, I pray, to recognize those areas where the enemy is trying to make inroads into my mind. Please help me to cast down every evil thought and imagination and to replace those negative ideas with input from your word. Thank you.